Kieran, I'm going to come to you for our next question. And for someone who is always up for a new idea and experimenting with things, I kind of love that I get to ask you this question. But is there a time and a place that maybe we should be saying no as a way to avoid potential failure?
Brilliant question, Emma. And the answer is yes, or maybe not no, but not yet is maybe the better way of phrasing it. So I'm not going to repeat everything that's been said to date, but you've heard a lot. If the culture's not ready for it, then, don't begin. You're just going to spend a lot of money, waste a lot of time. If your technology isn't up to, and by that I mean you have a lot of redundant, aging tech, RPA, IA, or whatever else, putting a layer or a smattering of that on top is never going to solve your problems. If the people aren't ready for it, and again, be careful here because this isn't a technology or whatever other problem, you need to educate your people as to what digital transformation means. Paint a bright and shiny picture to the future. An executive has to own this. They have to do it. Every executive has to do this. You have to bring people with you, get people ready for transformation, because I hear a lot of times businesses blaming people, they're not ready and they're resisting. But actually, what does the future look like? You haven't told me. You haven't told me that I'm good enough, but all these people coming into the organization are brilliant and I'm not. What about my training? What about the people inside of the business themselves, the citizen developers, the citizen innovators who can and should be involved in the project from beginning, middle, and end? Have you actually gone about that? Have you got that sponsor? Have you got that tooling? Are your processes ready? And remember this, that sometimes technology is not the answer. There are things in marketing called key moments of truth. In other words, if you take the example of a doctor telling a patient they've got cancer, if you've got the example of someone's in the middle of a car crash or in the middle of a claim where they've been badly injured, the last thing you want under God's earth is a robot or a chatbot giving you the outcome. So again, technology is not always the answer. Businesses need to get themselves ready for digital transformation, which is a bit of an oxymoron because sometimes there's just no time like the present and you have to start. Otherwise, that phrase I use on this show very often, digital Darwinism, kicks in. In other words, if you don't digitally transform, you're in trouble. So there's lots of things you need to do to get ready. I think one of the biggest things as well is recognize you will make mistakes, recognize things will go wrong. It is tough to admit those, but be big enough and brave enough to do it. Reflect on everything that you're doing and go and go and go and go again and take the learning that you've got and keep pivoting on it. So maybe not no entirely, apart from maybe certain organizations, but at this stage, because we're all organizations in the world are turning into technology businesses, more Emma and not yet, but get the bases ready and then start to load the bases with everything we've talked about to date.